In the shadowed streets of Florence, many men wore smiles sharper than daggers. They prayed beneath cathedral light, yet envy consumed them after sunset. A merchant in Venice counted his gold, but still feared betrayal at every feast. A knight returning from war sought peace, yet one insult could poison his soul. You believe your suffering comes from enemies, from whispers spoken behind your back. But the wound was opened long before, hidden beneath pride and polished armor. The cruel words of another man only awaken the fears already buried within. A king may survive 1,000 battles, yet crumble from one moment of rejection. In the courts of Renaissance France, noblemen mastered deception before honesty. They learned to hide weakness beneath silk, because the world devoured fragile hearts. But masking pain never destroys it. It merely teaches suffering to speak in silence. You drink wine to forget your anguish, yet the darkness follows into every chamber. You seek control over every soul around you, hoping obedience will protect you from sorrow. But no empire can command the human heart, and no ruler escapes disappointment forever. The more you fear pain, the more power it gains over your spirit. A scholar in Prague once wrote that unspoken fears become invisible chains. This is why some men collapse from mockery, while others remain calm before execution. The difference is not circumstance, but the hidden battles raging within them. Most men live as prisoners of the unseen, ruled by memories they refuse to confront. A childhood humiliation becomes silent rage. A betrayal becomes distrust toward the entire world. The unconscious mind governs the weak, while they blame destiny for every downfall. You call it fate when love abandons you, yet your own fears pushed it away. You call it betrayal when friends leave, yet your masks prevented them from knowing you. In the alleys of London during plague years, many feared death less than loneliness, because isolation forces a man to hear the terrifying voice buried within himself. Most people drown themselves in distraction, music, taverns, lust, endless conversation, anything to avoid sitting alone with the ghosts hidden inside their soul. Yet transformation begins in that silence, where illusion can no longer survive. The strongest men are not emotionless. They simply understand their darkness completely. A samurai facing execution feels fear, but fear no longer commands his actions. A queen betrayed by her own court weeps, yet she rises because sorrow no longer defines her. True strength is not coldness. It is awareness sharpened through suffering. The man who knows his own weakness cannot easily be manipulated by others. When shame is accepted, humiliation loses its power forever. When loneliness is embraced, abandonment no longer destroys you. This is why wise men seek solitude, not to escape the world, but to understand themselves. The Renaissance philosophers believed one truth, that self-knowledge is greater than conquest. An emperor may command vast kingdoms, yet remain a slave to his own anger. Meanwhile, a poor monk in silence may possess peace greater than any king. The path toward inner mastery is brutal, because it demands the death of false identities. You must abandon the mask built for approval, the performance crafted to earn love. You are not the titles you carry, nor the reputation others speak of. You are what remains in darkness, when applause and admiration disappear completely. Few people survive this awakening unchanged, because truth destroys comforting illusions. Some friendships fade during transformation, because shallow souls fear authentic people. You no longer beg to be understood, because clarity replaces desperation. You no longer chase validation from crowds, because silence becomes your greatest weapon. In Rome, statues eroded beneath storms, yet their foundations endured through centuries. Become like those ancient monuments, steady while chaos tears through the world. Pain will still visit your life, but it will no longer rule your mind. Loss will still arrive without warning, yet it will not steal your identity. Because the awakened man understands one thing: nothing external can destroy an integrated soul. And when the world finally tests you, your calmness will terrify those who doubted you. A man standing beneath the rain in Vienna often hides storms far worse within himself. The world teaches you to appear powerful, but never teaches you how to endure emptiness. So you learn performance before honesty and survival before inner peace. A nobleman in Renaissance Spain smiled at banquets while secretly fearing the collapse of his legacy. His servants admired his confidence daily, yet insomnia haunted him every night. This is the curse of fragile pride. It demands constant approval to remain alive. The moment criticism appears before the crowd, the mask begins to crack from within. You pretend not to care about rejection, yet your silence becomes heavy as stone. You tell others you have moved on, while resentment poisons your thoughts in secret. Because ignored pain does not vanish quietly. It transforms into bitterness beneath the surface. A wounded soul often seeks domination, hoping control will replace inner stability. This is why tyrants fear disrespect more than famine, rebellion, or even death. Sooner or later, every buried fear rises, like smoke escaping from beneath cathedral floors. The drunkard at the tavern laughs loudly, because silence would expose his despair. The warrior boasts of endless victories, because failure still terrifies the child within him. Most arrogance is not true confidence, but insecurity dressed in expensive clothing. The truly dangerous man speaks little, because he no longer needs to prove himself. When insults reach his ears, he examines them before reacting emotionally. If the accusation is true, he improves himself without shame. If the accusation is false, he discards it like dust in the wind. That is real power, freedom from emotional captivity. In ancient monasteries across Germany, young scholars were taught discipline through isolation, not because solitude was pleasant, but because silence reveals hidden truths quickly. A man alone with his thoughts eventually meets the parts he tried to escape. His jealousy appears without disguise. His fears stand naked before him. And for the first time in years, he can no longer blame the outside world. This moment terrifies most people, because self-awareness destroys comforting lies. You realize your anger was never strength. It was fear disguised as authority. You realize your constant kindness was not love, but desperation to avoid abandonment. You realize your perfectionism was never discipline, but terror of being judged as worthless. These revelations wound the ego deeply, yet they liberate the soul completely. A blacksmith tempers steel through fire, and suffering performs the same task upon men. Without hardship, the spirit remains fragile, easily shattered by disappointment and betrayal. The weak cling desperately to fantasy, while the awakened accept reality without resistance. This acceptance creates emotional freedom, because truth no longer feels like an enemy. When someone betrays you, you stop taking it as proof of your inadequacy. When someone abandons you, you no longer chase them through humiliation. You begin to understand human nature clearly, that many people act from fear and emptiness. The manipulator seeks control because he feels powerless. The narcissist demands worship because he hates himself. The cruel man wounds others repeatedly, because kindness reminds him of his own corruption. This is the transformation few survive willingly. Yet all powerful souls eventually endure. And once you cross that invisible threshold, The world can threaten you but never own you.